Welcome back to Real Talk, the show where we sit down with real investors doing real deals and uncover what's actually happening in today's market. Today we got Diego Rencon in the building. Now, what makes Diego's story different is most people in this space pick a lane. So they're either a wholesaler or a flipper or they're an investor. Now, Diego runs all three out of Next Door REI, same deal flow, three different exit strategies depending on the math. Now, that's a whole different conversation that one we had before on the show. So today we're going to actually break down how he decides which lane actually wins in a particular deal, what's working for each of them right now in 2026, and where the actual money is. Diego, thank you so much for hopping on the show, brother. Can you give us a quick rundown of like what exactly you do and a little bit about Nextdoor REI?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Dion, for having me. So a little bit about what I do during the daytime. I'm obviously running this deal acquisition system here that we refer to in the industry as wholesaling. During the nighttime, I'm actually a musician and recording artist.
Wow.
And that was actually what propelled me to be inspired to, well, make a lot more money so that I could do what it is that
Yeah.
I do. Kind of long story short, I was, looking for a way to get a little bit more money. My buddy had told me about rental arbitrage and Airbnb. I was figuring out a couple of different strategies, and then I ran into this now. And I'm just now basically a one-man team after starting partnerships and dissolving them and working with teams and then exiting teams. I realized that being a one-man show and kind of just holding myself accountable and not having to rely on the work of other folks is probably what aligns best with my vision.
Hmm.
And for that reason, actually, an acquaintance of mine and a great client of yours, Brendan Morales, actually had recommended me to Closer Control, telling me about how, he has a really small, lean team. I think it was just him and one closer at the time,
Hmm.
and that's what impulsed me to do go high level. Is just basically to have a little bit more bandwidth as a one man team, right? But right
Yeah.
now we're primarily doing wholesale strategies. We have a property under contract right now that I'm looking to flip, but it depends on the scope of work, of course. So, hey, if it doesn't match my scope of work or, the contractors are a little bit too high on my end, we'll
Hmm.
just assign it to somebody else that can maybe do the work a little bit cheaper or has a longer term exit strategy where the numbers still make sense in that.
I know it's kind of tough, obviously, juggling two things. And I know, like, especially when it comes to like having a music career, it takes a lot of balance, right? Between
Yeah,
two
absolutely.
different works. And obviously, I'm kind of curious, like, can you walk me through your very first deal? What did it actually look like? And if you don't mind me asking, how much was the assignment which you made on the deal?
It's a little bit of a funny story because I only made about $1,000 on my first deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you how it went down. Really, at the tail end of 2022 is whenever I started getting into wholesaling, just hearing stuff about it on videos and learning a little bit about it. After like 3 or 4 months of really diving in and making some phone calls, trying to follow up with some sellers, I got my first contract in Muncie, Indiana. Small market, ARVs are low, but it does have a college.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt, kind of confidently about it. That deal actually fell apart. I got it up too high of a price to make it sell.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, I was still kind of just doing things solo. At which point, a good friend of mine, still a great friend of mine, actually, one of my best friends since childhood, his name is Taylor. We were talking. He was running kind of his own business. I was running, trying to get this thing off the ground. And I was like, "Hey, let's try and work together. You make some phone calls." His girlfriend at the time was helping us with lead generation.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, I think it was a couple of weeks. She had found a lead on Facebook Marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
actually, also in that same market of Muncie, Indiana. So we had a little bit of traction as far as maybe a couple of buyers. We knew that deal wasn't sellable, so we got that property for like stupid cheap. Like it was like $10,000. I'm pretty sure that we got it under contract for.
What?
And yeah, it was like, but it was in a bad part of a bad
Mm.
market and it was in really bad condition. And there was like vagrants and squatters and people breaking and
Yeah.
entering into the where it's boarded up. So it was really just not the greatest really property, but we got it at a good price. And then I believe it was right around 10,000. It could have been 12,000. And then we sold it for a profit of like 3,000. At the time, like I'd mentioned, I was
Mm.
only working or I was working with two other
Yeah.
partners basically. So we split that three ways and I made $1,000, which for the amount of for the months that had led up to that, obviously isn't worth it, looking
Yeah.
back on it. But I was like, hey, I was so stoked. I was like, we did it. We
Hmm.
did the proof of concept. Obviously, it was a unique property where the profit margin was just not all the way there. But we got it across the finish line and we did it. And
Yeah.
that gave me enough confidence to kind of keep the ball rolling.
Amazing. And I think I know, let's say for a lot of people it would have actually been discouraging, and a lot of people might have what maybe wholesaling might not be it, but it's kind of inspiring because you can take two directions, right? You can take this as, you know what, this is actually proof of concept that wholesaling works, and it actually works for me. It's just that next time I would take the lessons on what exactly I need to pick and then find better deals. But I think it's all about
Absolutely.
taking the first action steps and then moving forward from there. And I think that's
Yeah.
what's all about over here.
That's what it's all about. And I'm very grateful for the partners that I had at the time, at the end of the day, I mean, I think investment, it's personal investments. You can have a team, but having too many cooks in the kitchen might make things a little difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah, that first time, even with some help and having to split it, it just showed me that, hey, this is possible. Let's just see what would happen if we just kept on going, right?
Yep. No, true that. Uh, if you don't mind me asking, can you give me a picture, or let's say, paint me a picture of like what exactly Next Door REI looks like right now? Let's say the team size, the average deal volume, and what all markets are you currently operating in?
Yep. So our main market is Indianapolis, Indiana. I live in Columbus, Indiana. So we
Hmm.
service a lot of the southern Indiana
Yeah.
as a whole. Currently, we've been ever since, I guess, March of this year. So yeah, the past 2 months, we've done 2 to 3 deals.
Hmm.
And what I've noticed, though, for whatever reason, is that our deal size per deal went down. I think part of that had to do with the fact that I opened up my strategy to lots, including
Hmm.
lots as well. So there was like, a deal with a couple of lots that we only made 6,000 on, but and then another lot actually that I am hopefully getting under contract tomorrow that I think I already have it pre-sold for a profit of about five. Um, so deal size now has gotten lower, or excuse me, the dollar amount per
Yeah.
deal has gotten lower.
Hmm.
Um, Deal quantity, I'm still only doing probably on average of about two a month, but
Hmm.
it's just me, just a one-man team. And really, if
Hmm.
I could get that deal size to be back up to our average, which our running average for last year was about 12,000 something hundred-ish. And obviously, if I can do that as a solopreneur twice a month, then hey, I personally have realized, and it took me the long way around to get to this conclusion was I don't need to be doing 15 deals a month. I don't need to be doing $250,000 in revenue generated. That would be awesome. But those types of operations require a bigger team, more robust systems, which the systems, partly in thanks to closure control and some other systems that I'm utilizing, they're kind of down packed now. I feel really confident that I can just get in there and do my thing. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that everybody needs to be shooting for the moon.
Hmm.
As long as you have a sustainable business that's profitable and your margins are turning, then great. But yeah, to answer your question right now, about 2 deals a month, I'd
Hmm.
like to keep that rhythm moving upwards to 4 deals a month
Yeah.
so that I can have a closing about every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to see that average go back up to our last year's running average of 12, actually probably even higher because I know that that's actually a little bit on the low end as far as the nationwide average. So
Got it. Amazing. Nice. And what's your primary lead source as of right now? Like, where are you getting most of your leads coming from?
most of my leads are currently coming from a pay-per lead service called Speed to Lead.
PPLs. Got it. And
Mhm.
are you running any other like marketing channels or like anything, let's say, uh, like are you getting any counter record data, bulk data, anything like that? Are you focusing on any other lead sources?
We've done just about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Cold calling, SMS, which with closure control, we are doing SMS to county record data. That
Mm-hmm.
would be the other thing that I would throw in there.
Yeah.
But really, most of the hot leads that I'm noticing, at least in the past like month or two, is going to be PPL. We did cold calling. We had three cold callers on at one time,
Mm-hmm.
scraping through data. They generated a lot of leads, but the motivation just wasn't all the way dialed up there. We noticed
Mm-hmm.
that the life cycle for those leads it's just going to be significantly longer since you're
Oh
doing a
yeah.
cold approach. We did also some Facebook marketing, like in-house. Well, actually, we paid an agency for it, but it wasn't PPL, right? It was traditional PPC that we paid an agency for. That the motivation there was super high, but with the agency fee, we were spending a lot of money. We were spending like over I think it was like $3,000 or $4,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And I now have one deal under contract from an old lead that we did then, but from basically all of those leads, they were either upside down on their mortgage or there was a number of other issues that we just couldn't seem to get past. I would say partially due to us being inexperienced as far as like title issues and inexperienced still as investors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then part of that was we didn't run the full life cycle of the Facebook ad. What do they call it? The pixel to
Yeah.
be able to like hone in that target market. So we were getting a lot of people that owed a lot more than we could offer,
Mm-hmm.
which is then when I started looking into novations. Still have not done a novation. Would love to do one. I'm keeping my options open. But yeah, and then that's kind of whenever I realized after doing all of that that hey, there are services out here where they've dedicated themselves to being masters of marketing. Let me just pay the fee to get that lead. And we now have three, two going on three contracts from that in the past, under contract from the PPL. So we know that it's working.
Nice. Now, I have a couple of like the not so traditional questions, and I really want to get your take on this thing. So,
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people in this industry, they obsess over acquisitions, the cold calling part, the list, the lead gen. But we both know that, you know what, people printing money in wholesale right now are not just the ones with the best leads, they also are the ones who have the best buyers as well, right?
Mm.
So, do you think acquisition has been overhyped this time, or do you really think disposition is where actually the money making is?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that acquisition is inherently more difficult, and that's why it probably has more hype behind it. Not that the relationship management with these buyers isn't difficult because it definitely is at times. But there's the way that I look at it is if there's a good deal, there's always going to be a hungry buyer for it.
Yeah.
It's less likely that you're going to find somebody that is in the situation where they have to take a discount to make it one of those smoking hot deals. But I do believe that what you're saying is 100% right, where the money is in having the buyers, because then you could just work it backwards from that point. If I were starting from ground zero, I'd probably lock in with six buyers that are local to my area, maybe
Hmm.
go to like an investor group meetup, maybe make some connections on Facebook Marketplace or groups, really lock in, have a good conversation with these guys, say, hey, what can I look for? How can I service you? And then a lot of the time, there are other wholesalers that are on the opposite side of the coin where they have contracts, but they don't have buyers. So if you can say, hey, I can utilize my network of buyers and bring us both the money, But I would say, yeah, it's probably acquisitions is probably a little bit overhyped. And I didn't know that in the beginning. I was always trying to find the contract. I met actually another wholesaler who the only thing that he was doing, and he was making good money and closing multiple deals a month. The only thing that he was doing was just bringing his buyers
Hmm.
to people that already had pre-existing contracts that they're trying to sell them on like Facebook groups and whatnot. So
Yeah. No, I think like he was like sort of like making money in between, right? Just the connection part.
just bringing the buyer in. So um, the money is definitely in in having the buyers, and the difficulty is in getting the contract. So I think that's why sometimes the acquisition is overhyped. But really, at the end of the day, if you got a rock solid buyer, you're gonna be able to make money all day.
Makes sense. Now,
Mhm.
this is gonna be a little bit on the opposite side. So my hook is going to be what a lot of the cash buyers are liars. So let's say real talk. Half the cash buyers on most wholesaler buyer lists are actually cash buyers. They might maybe need transactional funding. They need their banks to clear, or they might be even using somebody else's money. Now, my question is, how much of the buyer list in this industry do you think people are lying about their capital? And how do you actually verify a buyer is legit before you give them a deal?
Great question. Probably 80% of people out there are BSing in one way or another. And it's sales, right? At the end of the day, it's sales. So you got to sell the sizzle sometimes. What I've noticed dispositioning some of my own deals is that, yeah, probably about 80% of the people that says they're cash buyers are other wholesalers.
Hmm.
Um, the people that are cash buyers, I guess I can speak only for my market. Probably a few of them would inflate, how much they're actually doing, what they're actually working on. But we're not after any of those folks, right? We're after the people that are the rock solid guys that are actually doing what they say that they're going to be doing. Because
Hmm.
for every 10 guys that are talking big hype, there is that one guy that's actually doing it by the book, the way that it is supposed to be done. Those are the people that you want to tap in with, but the majority are going to be people that fluff their expectations or don't even aren't even the buyer to begin with, right? I know I
Yeah.
used to do that where I would go in and say, "Hey, we're the buyer." I'm trying to take a more transparent approach with the clients now and say, "Hey, while we act as the buyer, there is a period before closing that we essentially give our other partnered buyers the opportunity to purchase. If we can realize revenue that way, we will move that way." But what was the second half to your question?
How do you like basically verify whether if their buyer is actually
Hmm.
legit or not?
I think a lot of the people give it away themselves, right? Like they'll just, you can, after you've been doing this for a certain while, you'll realize, hey, this person is asking way too, like, why are you asking? You could just go out to that. Like if you were a real cash buyer, the real cash buyers I've noticed are just like, cool, I'll walk it. Let me go walk it real quick.
Hmm.
At least the ones that are local, right? You do have some
Yeah.
out of state guys that are going to be buying sight unseen. And in that scenario, we had a property that we sold to a hedge fund, fully sight unseen. We sold that one through Investor Lift, and we'd heard this guy's name around. So really, if you like, I feel like if you ask around in a certain market, people are going to be able to tell you like, yeah, that guy's legit or not. And then asking for proof of funds, obviously, which is pretty easy to fake as well. But I just like to tell people, hey, I don't need like a pre-approval letter or anything. Just send me a picture of a bank account. And I also like to ask how many projects they've completed.
Got it. I think that's an interesting take. Now, I have one more question. It's about daisy chaining. So, like,
Mhm.
obviously, you probably would have heard about it where a deal gets passed through three or four wholesalers before it ever hits a real buyer. And the price, most of the time, it gets marked up at every stop. By the time it lands, obviously, you may be feeling the margin is almost gone. The seller, you can also feel a little bit hostile. And sometimes in these cases, nobody ever closes. Now, my question is, do you think daisy chaining is one of the dirtiest open secrets in this industry? And what do you do when you realize a deal is about to be taken down? It's already four hands deep.
Oh man, that's tough. Daisy chaining, the way I look at it is it's kind of like just really picking the absolute lowest hanging fruit, which if you can get to it,
Hmm.
Who am I to say, right?
Yeah.
But then you get a lot of people where they tarnish the reputation for wholesalers as a whole because of that, and then they don't end up closing. I'll give you an example. I was in the middle, I guess. Well, I was going to give you an example of a daisy chain, but then I realized I actually held the contract there, and I found another wholesaler. I found the buyer, so that was a JV. So I guess I can't say that I've successfully ever closed a daisy chain. It's happened to me where it's like I got a deal from a wholesaler and I'm like, huh, this might be a good deal. Let me just send
Mm.
it out to my buyer. So I was, acting as the daisy chain or whatever. Rarely, I can't think of one time that I've actually closed on anything like that. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of BS. I feel like just go get your own contract or go get your own buyer. And that's kind of the way that I look at it. But if you can make it happen successfully, then who am I to say? But most people are not going to be able to make it happen successfully, and it's only going to drive everybody nuts in the meantime, right?
No, sure. And I think you have like a couple of interesting takes on this. And I know I said it last time, but one more question. So,
Okay.
and this question is mostly focused about what exactly do you think the real reason most wholesalers burn out? We keep hearing like, you know what, a lot of wholesalers, you know what, they're hustlers. They don't quit because the business doesn't work. They might quit because, let's say, they get the 12 months of grinding. You get emotionally fried up from the rejection on every single call. The relationships are strained, and in some cases, you just cannot take it anymore. So, I would not say, from your experience, but maybe from what you heard, do you think the hardest part of this business is actually the mental load, or is anyone in this industry talking about that honestly? Because I know how tough it is, especially when it comes to what calling each of these sellers up, finding the right buyer, then marketing it in the market. What's your take on this?
Thank you for asking that question, and I feel like I am qualified to speak on it because I've been to that point where I just don't know what's going on. I feel like I just, I want to give up. I want to do something else. And I'd say that partially I was there because of lack of proper systems.
Mm,
So if I'm there and I'm having to do all of the grunt work with everything, then very soon I'm going to start disliking what I'm doing, right? For the same, on that same note, doing your own marketing is probably another reason why people get burnt out so quickly. It's a normal human thing to be afraid of rejection, right?
yeah.
And whenever you're getting rejected dozens of times if in the day, every single day, then you're just at some point you're gonna build tough skin, which is a positive thing. But at some point you're just gonna be like, man, just if you're fishing, like just give me one bite. But so that's why I decided to I actually had to take some time off. I went to go to Colombia at the very end of last year, beginning of this
Mhm.
year, to just kind of be away from it.
Yeah.
Luckily, we had some success at the tail end of last year, so I was able to do that. And I kind of had set that intention whenever I came back in February, where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do this the hard way. I'm gonna set up my systems. I'm gonna get my CRM on lock. I'm gonna get my marketing on lock. I'm gonna get my sales process on lock, and I'm just gonna be talking to people that actually want to sell their homes. Now, whenever you do all those things and then you're actually talking to people that would benefit from your services, oh my goodness, it's a breath of fresh air. But when you're fighting that uphill battle of like, is this person even going to answer? Is this call even going to connect to an active phone number?
Yeah.
Then that's when it's a little bit rough. And then the other thing that I would say as to why wholesalers get burnt out personally is because they're trying to stay on the hamster wheel, meaning, okay, I made this happened to us, right? We made X amount of money. I think we made like 50K one month, and then we immediately had we immediately had basically spent the money as far
Hmm.
as, well, here's where this is going, here's where this is going, here's where this is going. Instead of taking a time and thinking, maybe we should just buy something that we can hold on to for the rest of our lives. And not everybody's in that position. We certainly weren't at the time whenever my partner and I had this discussion,
Hmm.
but we probably could have worked something out to where we could have invested that money into a hard asset instead of reinvesting back into the business. Because whenever you have something that you own, you're like, okay, well, all the stuff that we went through, at
Yep.
least I have this to show for it, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of another way that I look at it.
Nice. I think that's interesting take, and thank you, Diego, for actually sharing this with us, because I know that's something which a lot of new wholesalers, they kind of want to know. At the same time, it's really educational, and it's something which a lot of people do not talk about. Now,
Absolutely.
so on every podcast, towards the end, we do something called ranking. So last time, what we did was we had one of our guests rank marketing channel, but we're not going to be doing that with you. So we're going to be ranking on working with the buyers every single day. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be throwing you a list of buyer types at you, and I want you to tier them. So think of it like,
Okay.
what, S tier would be the best. Like, what, they close as fast, they pay full, reliable every single time. A would be second best, all the way till D. D would be the worst. You know what? They're a waste of time. Tire kickers. You know what? Don't even think about it. Got
Right.
it? S would be the best. D would be the least, the worst. So let me know when you're ready, and I'm going to throw a list of buyers at you.
You said S is at the very top of the list?
Yes, sir. S would be the
Okay.
best, and D would be the worst.
I got you.
Yep. So let me know when you're ready, and I'm going to throw a couple of buyer lists at you.
I'm ready when you are.
Okay. Local fix and flip operators.
I'd probably put that like B.
Makes sense. Maybe if you can just give us like a quick why on why you
Quick
would like that
Y.
this way. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, um, they're definitely not at the bottom of the list because that these are guys that are closing on deals. You could
Yeah.
probably, like I'd mentioned to you, verify their activity with other local people.
Hmm.
But they are also probably guys that are in the game, so they're gonna want to try and get their run for their money. They're probably gonna want to get some deeper discounts on things,
Hmm.
especially because their outlook is flipping.
Yeah.
They have to try and get it as low as they can. If it was a long-term buy and holder, different
Hmm.
story.
Yeah.
But the flipper guys are generally trying to get it pretty cheap. So they're not going to be incentivized to give you those great offers. But you know that they're closing and you know that they work. So
Makes sense. Next one. Hedge fund and institutional buyers.
I would probably put that as an S tier. That's
Okay.
probably, I mean, the time that I've only successfully sold to a hedge fund, a proper hedge fund one time, and we made like a $50,000 assignment fee, so that was
There you go.
spectacular. Yeah. And it was easy. It was easy. Like it was sight unseen offer at
Hmm.
our full asking price, non-refundable earnest money of like I think it was like $5,000.
Hmm.
He delivered it the next day. These are people that they have access to large amounts of capital. If the deal makes sense, they're not going to try and haggle you over a few $1,000.
Yeah.
And typically speaking, they have longer life cycles for their investments. Like they're probably doing 5 to 10 year holds on the lower
Yeah.
end. So for that reason, they could probably bump their price up a little bit, and you know that they're generally going to be rock solid buyers.
Nice. Next one. B are our investors, or what, long-term rental holders.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I would put those above flippers and
A.
below hedge funds, so A,
Okay.
because they're doing long-term buying and they're gonna make, their monthly rent, their monthly residual for the next, I don't know, 10 to 20 years. They're probably gonna be able to offer up a little bit more, especially because they're not gonna get hit with the taxes and the sales fees, closing costs, etc., that a normal flipper would make. Um, and they're also probably not going to want to put like quartz countertops or like fix it to the nines because why would you need to? You're going to put a renter in there for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to lower their rehab cost, increasing their ability to give you your asking price, basically.
Got it. Now, what about novation partners?
I have not successfully done an ovation. So I would for that reason I would probably classify them at the bottom just because I've not successfully done an ovation.
Hmm.
There has been a couple of instances where I was really close to doing it, but it just kind of fell apart, I suppose. So this one that we're working on now that I told you that I was thinking about
Yeah.
flipping,
Yeah.
if it doesn't pan out for a flip, we'll probably just put it for cash on the open market and do
Hmm.
that and do the novation that way. So maybe I could let you know my thoughts on that next time around we talk.
Definitely. What about agents with investor clients?
I think that's a pretty fair C, just because you're putting a lot of trust into a third party that isn't the one actually managing the funds and
Yeah.
isn't the one that's actually going to do the work. So I guess the more separation that you put between yourself and the final decision maker, I'm not going to say it gets harder because there are good agents out there that do their job really well. But just like wholesalers, there's nine other ones that don't. So I like to be tapped in directly with the buyer if possible, directly with the seller if possible. But as long as we get the deal done, and there are good agents out there, but there are not a dime a dozen. There are fewer good agents
Hmm.
than there are a lot of bad agents out there, right? So that's probably why I'd put them closer down to the bottom of that list.
Got it. What about hard money lenders, borrower networks? What would you like to hear them?
Well, I had a good relationship with this one well, I thought it was going to be good. It actually didn't end up being fruitful. But there was a hard money lender who had like a portfolio of properties that he wanted me to help him sell.
Hmm.
I send somebody out to one of these properties, and it's like two of them that were like already demolished and he didn't even know about it. So, but that goes to show that hard money lenders, they are also talking every day with flippers and buyers.
Hmm.
So that's probably a really good contact if you want to kind of go down that path. Like I said, I'd like to be in touch with the buyer directly themselves. Some hard
Yeah.
money lenders are buyers even. And if not, they provide a service to buyers exclusively. So I would probably, if I would put them in between local fix and flippers and agents with buyers.
And that would be B
It
or
was like B.5 because I think I
okay.
had yeah, local buyers at B and then agents at C. So in between those two.
Got it. And the last one, foreign capital buyers.
I've had pretty good relationships with a couple of those. I would probably put them above the local fix and flippers, but below the burr, depending on the strategy that they want to use. But shoot, man, anytime I've ever like actually had a conversation with somebody out of the country, they kind of have their systems down packed. They'll send somebody out there pretty quickly and they have money, at least the people that I've dealt with. So yeah, I would put them above flippers. So we're gonna have to reorganize this. So S tier would be hedge funds. A tier would be burr buyers.
Mm.
B would be foreign buyers. C local cash flippers. D agents with buyer connections, and C novation, and then E novation partners. Because wait, I thought you said it only went to
D.
D.
D. Yeah. D is the last
Okay,
one.
okay, 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 okay. Um, so that's where I would put it. Yeah, generally people that are working, from overseas, they have one goal,
Yeah.
buy property in America.
Yeah.
Boom. So it's a lot simpler to work with. I think for that reason, they might be a little less picky than like your local buyer because your local buyer might know, hey, there was a vagrant in this block and they put down a window or something like. So I think that local buyers are generally going to be inherently more picky.
Yeah.
Not that foreign buyers probably won't be because there are some that are.
Yeah.
But I just think that overall they're going to be a little bit easier to work with. Plus, I was born in a different country too, so it adds a little bit of rapport for
Got
me.
it.
But yeah, that's probably where I'd put them as C.
Got it. Well, guys, that's real talk. Diego, I appreciate you for coming on for this podcast with us and also sharing your experience and also your knowledge on the wholesaling and the investing side, especially in the RE space. And I think this is going to be really helpful and useful for a lot of new investors and wholesalers who just want to get in and actually see and understand more about the space. Now, before we wrap up, can you tell us where exactly people can find you? Let's say if they want to, like, what exactly you're building at Next Door REI, or maybe get you on your buyers list. Where would they go for?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could always reach out to me on my Instagram. I will give you the handle here.
Yeah.
It
I mean, you
is
can just,
at
yeah, you can just share it with me and I'll make sure to pin it on
okay.
our channel. Yeah,
Nezio. And then if you want to be placed on my buyers list, just shoot me an email. Or if you want to connect, have any other questions, want to book like 15, 30-minute time slot for a conversation with me, uh, email me. If you just want to stay up to date with, kind of where I'm at in my life and my career and everything else that I do, feel free to follow me on Instagram.
amazing. Well, that's it, guys. Thank you so much, Diego, for hopping on this real talk with us.
Thank you, Dion.
Yes, it's a pleasure, Diego. If this episode, guys, if it hits you different, share it with somebody who needs to hear it, and we'll catch you on the next one, where we're going to be coming up with a new guest, new topics, and also new insights. That's a wrap for Real Talk, guys. See you next time.